think we'll go ahead and get started. So even on a cloudy, rainy day on the third Friday of the month, it's still ELT, which stands for Exploring Learning Technologies. We're a grassroots community of staff, sometimes instructors, sometimes grad students who meet once a month to talk about something interesting with teaching and learning happening at OSU and technology. This is kind of exciting. I think this will be the third session that we've done on VR or AR in the last 2 years, and it seems like it's been neat to kind of see departments kind of move forward with initiatives and stuff. So for today, we have Ian Anderson from Arts and Sciences. He's going to talk about some of the work they're doing with the VR lab here. And then we're also going to hear from Bud Whitney and Elaine. We're going to talk about the neat work they're doing from the student side with things over in horticulture and crop science. If you're not on our ELT listserv, I'll just pass a sign-in sheet that's kind of going around, and I will go ahead and turn things over to Ian, who's going to start us off with today.
Hi, everybody. As you said, my name's Ian Anderson. I work for Arts and Sciences Technology Services. The space you're in right now used to be called back in the mid to late aughts the Emerging Technology Studio. We're bringing that name back. And one of the main things we're focusing on right now is the VR aspect of things. So I'm just going to go over a quick overview of who I am, what the space is, and where we see it going forward. It's going to be a very brief presentation. So I started working here at OSU in 2005. I worked in support for 12 years. For 3 of those years, I led the service desk for AC Tech. And then after that, I was kind of looking for a new change, and this great opportunity came along to kind of launch this space, amongst other things. So I jumped at the chance to do that. I've been doing that since February of last year. So what is the Emerging Technology Studio? The goal is to integrate cutting-edge technology into the curriculum. We've been working with faculty members from a couple departments to try and get that going for autumn. We've got some good traction on that, and then we've also been running some VR field trips, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Currently, the offerings in this room is 2 different types of VR. We've got the HTC Vive. We also have an Oculus Rift. There is a Lightboard video room in the back. We have 27 iMacs in this room, and the next one for use in development or for lectures or events like this. Plus, a video wall was just installed moments ago over there, so be sure to check that out as well. Future plans for this space, we want to kind of cut it up a little more and have dedicated VR bays going at all times. We're looking at different types of printing, including wide format and 3D printing. On top of that, we are always looking for suggestions from the OSU community as to what new technologies we should put in this space. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to share them with me. My contact info will be at the end of this, so make sure you take that down. How is the space currently being used? As I mentioned, we're partnering with faculty to expose students to virtual reality using the Vive. The biggest thing we see is that the cost to get into virtual reality is somewhat cumbersome. And if we can eliminate that cost and get this technology in the hands of students and faculty, then we feel like that's a good first step to show them that it is a worthwhile technology to explore. We have run several VR field trips. So what that basically means is we'll work with faculty or staff members who want to get their students exposed to virtual reality and find a way to make it work with the class they're currently teaching. So, for example, we had a class that was all about gaming out of the English department. So we had 2 different sections of that course come in and go through it. And, it can go from anywhere from a very specific educational purpose, like if there's an app that has a certain educational experience, we'll run them through that. Or if people just want to get exposure to the gaming aspect of things, we're more than happy to run that as well. As of spring of this year, we have about 500 students who have participated in a VR field trip, and we're already booking for autumn. As I mentioned, these classes range from artistic creation, historical reenactments, prototype design, and gaming. So pretty much anything that can be done in VR, we can integrate into a curricular focus. Here are a few of the titles that we've demoed. Gravity Sketch, that's the prototyping app that I mentioned previously. I'm a Man, that's a historical reenactment of the sanitation strike in 1968. And it also details the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination. That's one that we're going to be focusing on for autumn. We have a class coming through that will be demoing that. Richie's Plank Experience is more of a gaming side of things. That's if If you have a fear of heights, you can either embrace them and try to get over them, or just go in full-out panic mode, which we've seen both of when this is going through. Basically, it's what it says. You go up this elevator, you walk out onto a plank, and you see the ground below you, the sky above you, and all things in between. So really interesting to see how people react to that. Tilt Brush is an artistic design class, used in art classes, and Space Pirate Chainer is just a straightforward shooting game where you've got a bunch of robots trying to attack you, and it really shows how to use the VR in a way that not only puts you in an environment, but it really predicates you moving around the space. So, if somebody's firing at you, people are always like, well, how do I move? Well, you move. You just move within the space, and that will teach people how to interact with VR in a different way. The feedback from students and faculty have been extremely positive. In most cases, this is the first time students are experiencing VR. And as I mentioned, we remove the financial and space allocation hurdles that often get in the way of experiencing VR. As I'm sure most, if not all of you know from being in campus housing, there's not a lot of space to set up a 10 by 10 square foot area for VR. So that's another hurdle that we like to eliminate for students and faculty. So before I take any questions, I just want to throw out my contact information. Be sure to take that down. Feel free to email me, call me, or stop by my office in Mendenhall with any ideas or any other questions that you might think of between now and then. So having said that, does anybody have any questions for me right now?
Yeah, do you guys make any of the VR, or do you just use existing?
So currently we are just using stuff that's already out there. We do have a couple of classes that are using this side for development, and we do hope that that will be the end game, that people are taking this technology and developing their own programs for it.
Do you know, does the computer science department offer courses?
I believe they do. I have not reached out to anybody over there yet. That probably is something we'll be doing in the near future, though. It's kind of, we're still trying to find the best funding model, and depending on how we go about that, will kind of give us a path to how much we can branch out.
Do you all help faculty with identifying VR experience?
Yes,
Kind of
yeah.
useful?
One of the things I tell people to do is if they're interested in VR, the first thing I want to see their syllabus.
Mhm.
So then I can kind of try and find programs out there that will fit what they're already teaching to kind of enhance that. Or if they come to us and they want something, that's not already in the syllabus, we can look at that as well. Yeah.
Ian, do you have, I don't know if the space is functional, do you have time to kind of give us a demo of it? Or
We can do that. Yeah.
is that just in the next room?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we could get up and move over there.
Yeah.
Good?
Let's do it.
All right, thank you.
Before we do that, any other questions? Okay. Oh, okay.
Right, it's weird, yeah.
You good?
Right, okay, yeah, right. Okay. We had, okay. I'm used to really sitting. So my name's Bud Whitney. Normally, I know a lot of you in here know Dr. Rose, Tim Rodas. This is usually something that he would be presenting. And unfortunately, he's on medical leave right now. So definitely keep him in your thoughts. Elaine Eberlin, the system specialist, is here. So she's an important part of her team. I don't know, systems manager working with Tim. So, geez, do you know how long Tim's been teaching this class?
That's a really good question.
I just thought it was, sorry, I was thinking something I should have thought of earlier to ask, but
20, maybe it's been not 20 years.
yeah, I've been working with Tim since like 1998, and we've always been working on kind of like emerging technologies and trying to look ahead to see what's coming. And he's done a really good job of working with students to help keep them abreast of new technology and how they can use it like in industry and take it with them. So basically this class is basically to help the students develop an expertise in using a variety of online communication technologies. We do some graphics design using a program called Pixlr, very much like Photoshop. We have been working with barcodes for a long time. So we introduced them to the idea of using QR codes. And here we're working with Buckeye Box. And something new in the last couple of years was again also adding digital VR and AR into the mix as well, and really packaging it all together. So, and as well as we also use Portfolio for basically a place for the students to showcase their work. So our class is basically BYOD, bring your own device. In the past, we've worked with, we had iPads for the labs and stuff. This year, we tried to offer them iPads, and they preferred to use their own devices, iPhones and things like that. So a variety of devices. This year, all of our students had iPhones or some type of Apple device. That was kind of interesting. So we, actually, part of our class, we asked the Center for Teaching and Writing, Study Teaching and Writing, to come in and talk to our students about their program, because our program does involve some writing in a portfolio, where people write about what they've done, and also creating scripts. So it was a great tool to have them come in and talk to us. So early on, we start basically with graphic design. Here's a Pixlr, and you can actually see they look very similar. If you're familiar with Photoshop, you see the toolbars are very similar with it. Autodesk used to be associated with this, and it was sold sometime last year to this group like R123. They have mobile apps version for your devices, and a couple different web clients that you can use. So it's something that was real simple that students can use. And so we basically start out real simple. I don't have it here, but we start them out with like create your own business card. And in this one, the idea was, okay, let's use Pixlr and the concept of the QR code to create something, come up with some idea. This is one that Tim kind of did as an example to show them, scan this, and you can see what the weather is. So you at the bus stop, you can say, is it getting ready to rain or something? So we really wanted to get them thinking about things and how they can use the technology. So then we get into some VR. So we start basically, has anybody ever heard of Google Street View? Everybody's used Google in the driving around, to see what's going to look like. So Google basically has an app that anybody can download and use, and you can basically use it to capture a 360 pano tour. And it also works with, you can see down at the bottom right, there's like a data camera. I'll talk more about that later. And let's get the mapping. And let's see what I have here. So basically, just to fill you in, do you see in that third photo right there where it has a little orange dot? Fire it up here real quick. So it does work. I think this, if you have an iPad and you try to find it, you might have to tell the Apple Store that you're on an iPhone to find it. So I know some apps kind of work funny that way. But you can basically link to an external camera. You can import 360 photos. Or what you can do is you can basically use your built-in device camera. And what happens is if I'm sorry, I guess you can put the camera there. So you can see the little dot as I move around. There's that little orange dot. What you do is you locate it, you put it in a circle, hold it there for a while. And then you just, now the idea is, you normally want to hold out the device like this. Really what you want to do is you want to keep it nice and centered as you go around. Keep that nice central axis. So you just kind of zip around. Hold it there steady, zoom all the way around it. And you keep doing that all the way around. You go all the way around this way, and then you go up about this way. And it has a little completion graph here in the circle. So as you go around, the orange works its way around. And so once you have the full orange circle, you're done. So sometimes you'll miss one, and you have to kind of go back and try to find it. Once you hit done, and you'll see like the little person running across the screen. What it's doing is it's taking all those individual photos and tying them together and stitching them. And then It'll basically upload it to the cloud, to Google, and then you can basically go in and edit like where your location was. If you do like a shot within, you can turn on it so it'll sync. Like if you're within like about 3 steps, then it'll kind of link them together. And that gets published where you can then share it on Google. So we started students out with that. One thing, if you're going to do this in class, we found is that you want to make sure that you save it locally on your device. And there's a setting to go into and save locally, and that will give you a better high resolution graphic. Otherwise, it'll be the lower resolutions. And we found you have to really kind of let the students know that about 2 or 3 times, just to kind of get through. Because it's one of those things, it's easy to miss. But the quality is definitely a lot better if you do that. Then we create like a service where they can upload those, and we have them basically tell us about each scene and that kind of stuff. And then we'll look at that. And it did, outside of that, we also do kind of show them some different cameras out there, and the type of cameras out there is just growing like crazy. So there's tons of cameras out there. Scott Nelson with ODE loaned us a couple cameras, so we showed the class how to use those. A Theta and then a Nikon camera. We used the Nikon camera for a couple projects as well. I really like that one. And this is the camera we used for some of our shots. For a couple classes where we did, or for a couple projects that had very intensive, required a lot of photos. I thought this was kind of an interesting camera. It's actually been out for a while, this Pano. So what it is, it's actually like 36, I think they're like 2K cameras. So it's 36 of them. And it basically stitches them all together. And I think it can create like 108 megabyte photo. So it makes a pretty big photo. I've seen videos of this where people basically take it and throw it up in the air. And I believe it has a sensor, so at the point when basically once it reaches its, I don't know what the term for it is, but the highest point where it starts to then fall back down, it takes a picture. So I don't know how comfortable I would be throwing something that costs like $500 or $600 up in the air. So it's interesting. And they have a variety of ways you can has a place where you can put it on the stand, and I believe you can also remote into it to take the pictures from a mobile device. And then we also talk about equipment. The one on the top left was actually, I believe, was a 3D printed housing that they then mount the GoPro cameras inside of. And then, there's some other, basically, the bottom left you see there is just a mic stand. You'll find that the mic stand actually works really good if you got like a smooth floor. You don't have to worry about that. But it has very low profile, and because when it's 360, it sees everything. So if you have a tripod, it's going to pick up the legs. And you might have to do like some Photoshop work to try to etch those out. Some newer kind of devices that, and we noticed if you look at the bottom middle, there is this is a device you can get from, it's a cloud-based service called Ice Staging, and they basically sell these kind of packages where it's at the top of it, you can see it has an iPhone. It has like a 720-degree lens that you can snap on your phone. And then there's a, basically it's like a little turntable, automated turntable that basically takes your device and spins it around. It'll actually interact with your phone to take the pictures at a certain interval. And then basically it stitches those together just through the software and upload it to their site. And you see that top right, basically just examples of this tripods. And if you notice, there's an SLR camera kind of in the middle, and you'll see there's like a little L frame. So we kind of show them there's different types of attachments and adapters to work with your camera and tripod to help take those photos. So we get the photos, like what do we do with it, right? What do we have the students do with them? So we really searched, had a hard time trying to find some. Has everybody here have heard UVisit? You've seen UVisit? So anyways, the university has used the service that they contracted with called UVisit, where it actually does a VR campus tour. And after I'm done, I'll pull up the link and show you guys. But they also released a secondary product a couple years ago that Tim used with his class, and it allowed the students to create their own accounts, log in, upload, and create virtual tours that way. That service went away. It was kind of like beta and went away last summer, so we had to find something new, and had a lot of bells and whistles with it. So it's kind of tough for us to find something that was easily adaptable to them. If you look out there, a lot of them are for real estate market, and they're very fixed in how they try to keep it very simple. And this is actually one that is kind of based on real estate market, but it had a lot of kind of tools and bells and whistles with it. And I want to say the students found this one to be simple, easy to kind of use. And it was a free account, so you can create I think 5 tours. There are some stipulations, you can only do so many. I thought I linked something here, but I guess it didn't. I think I left the slide out. What's kind of neat about this is, I'm gonna jump out here.
If my butt's looking for that, I was just gonna interrupt a second. Our goal was for the students is we were all about keeping it free. On the other side, we saw where the cost was.
Yeah,
Our goal for our students was to make sure that they didn't have to pay anything. So we were looking for free software. If they were using their own devices, they didn't have to worry about a camera. We didn't have to worry about trying to loan a camera or rent a camera or buy stuff. So we were looking for free programs that they could use, free software. Pixlr is free. So that was our goal, is to find as many free options. So we looked really hard to try to find free options for them. So we were starting out with the ideas is to keep things as low budget. There's high budget and there's low budget. So we were looking at, there were no textbooks. There was everything we had was available to them for sign up for an account. Sign up for in some cases it was a trial account, and we were able to be done in 30 days. Or we worked with one of the other companies, and they were very generous with educational option for us for like $10. So we were all about you didn't have to do the high end stuff to be able to come up with a product.
Yeah, there's definitely some other services out there that for VR like cloud hosting, but we were looking at it was going to be like $50 per student per month. It was kind of pricey.
We thought that was too much to ask them to do.
For something this way. So with iSpy, I thought something that I hadn't really seen too many places where I want to call it like the donut. So they convert your Pano 360 photo into a donut, and you can basically, these red lines are the waypoints, the connections between each. And so when I log in, so if I go into 360 view, so I'm inside a greenhouse, I basically spin around. Each of these green dots was the end of one of those lines. What's cool about this is I don't have to go into the next scene, it automatically hooks both together. Or in some of the others, you have to go in each scene and add the waypoint back and forth. So this automatically does it back and forth. I thought that was kind of cool.
Which camera did you use for this?
This was a Nikon. So we did the Nikon.
That looks great.
Yeah. So it does have options down here. So you can see down here, you can it does have the headset. So if I were to hit this, if you were looking at a headset, and if you're sure about this is gazing, so if I were to go like that and gaze on it, then it will take you to the next scene. That was kind of cool. One of the really neat things I thought was neat about this is that you see down here at the bottom left, there's a record button. Microphone. I don't know if I'll have access to the microphone. I'll find out. So as you're going through the tour, you see that so it actually has my audio. So I can see my audio, my microphone's working. If I go to this spot, I can say there's a dosatron here. This is for injecting fertilizer into the water system. I go in here and I hit stop. I go back and play it. Hopefully this will work.
So this is just a hosting platform?
Yes, this is the
Now
hosting
they-
platform. So as you're going through the tour, you see down, so it actually has my audio, so I can see my audio, actually my microphone's working. for.
I go to this spot, I can say there's a Dosatron here. This is for
So that's one of the few that I've seen be able to do that.
What was that called again?
It's called iSpy 360. If you just do iSpy, there's another comes up with another website, so you have to get the 360 in there.
But you said hosting was free for a certain threshold, or how much?
Yeah, they have a price point that's free.
And that was good enough for your class, like so the students didn't
Yeah.
have to pay anything? That's great.
Plans. So if iSpy free, you get 10 virtual tours, 5 scenes per tour. So get the iSpy live for 2 minutes. What that is it's basically so you can conference. So you can basically send an email, hey, let's have a little web conference about this, and you can walk them through it via like a web conference, and it shows like a little picture of them if they want to use their camera. That is kind of neat. I think this is kind of based out of like the UK, I think, but they do have like office. They have some nice FAQs and things like that. They did just recently, I don't know if you noticed when I was in there, let's see. Okay. When I was in there, the waypoints are, a lot of times they're pretty basic. So either I got an eye or I had basically, I could pick this green circle, but I had to live with that green circle through the whole project. They did recently release so you can add like a video. So this eye, instead of an eye, it could be a camera icon and stuff like that. So they're adding new features to it. So that was one of the platforms we chose. And we wanted to challenge ourselves a little bit too. And so we thought, well, I'll get into it a little later. So let me show you one of the students' projects. So one of our students' name is Lauren Thomas. Basically, this is her project she did the stadium as her tour. Yeah, let's see if so up here. So this is an example of her tour. Like I said, when they first started this, all we had was like a red dot. And then it's about like the last week of class or something, they came up with new features. I'm just going to zip through here real quick. I thought this was a really cool picture because you can kind of look. There's a really neat angle that they chose for that.
It's still the Nikon.
No, this is Street View. This is Street View. So if you saw people out there going like this, in the Oval or around the Union, they were probably in our class using Street View. So, like, what are they
A
doing?
couple students were like, oh, I feel so silly.
Yeah.
Because people are watching me while I'm doing this.
So, and one little trick is that we were only allowed, you only had like 5 shots. So a one way around it was we could say, well, do 2 tours, and we can do a link into another tour. So we had each student do 10 spots. So we did that. So now I want to go back. I'm kind of going to jump. So part of our, like I said, our class was more than just VR. I'm hoping do I have the right? Did I link to a right tour? I'm hoping I didn't link to her previous tour. One of the catches about iSpy is every time you make a change, you have to publish it, and it gives you a new URL. And I think so. I have it back. Oh, I copied the wrong one, didn't I? You don't see her. You guys will love. I have to get this. It's probably one of the best things to show you. See, trying to think the quickest way. Maybe if it gets it from a portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's,
That's for him. But you really wanted it.
what's that?
I thought you already wanted it portfolio.
I am, but I was trying to pull up her portfolio profile.
But you already,
Oh, you're right.
you already wanted
Yeah, I did that
you should
before.
be able to pull it if you
All right, which one do you think it was? This one probably?
Yeah.
So now, so portfolio. This is why it's so awesome to have students involved in portfolio. So,
Probably.
so we saw the tour. Oh, it's probably in
Is
there.
that the video? No.
There we go. Was it the what one?
No.
No, it's not that one. It's right next to
It's
it.
gonna be the last project.
Thanks. This one?
Last one.
Oh, that one. Ah, yeah, you're right.
It's the, yeah.
There we go.
Climb to success and the struggles he faced in the process. James Cleveland Owens attended East Tech High School in Cleveland and made.
I don't know why it started in the middle. It's kind of weird.
You may be wondering the significance of the sculpture, plaza, and walkway located outside the north entrance to the Ohio Stadium.
What's that?
The plaza was constructed in 1984, and the Ohio State University dedicated the plaza to honor former OSU student and track and field legend Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens set many school and Big Ten records. He is best known for winning 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games. The plaza includes a bronze sculpture
Use the slider.
You just
The dot slide that little dot
to the
Oh, yeah.
Full triangular planes that form a pyramidal shape. The walkway intersects the congregation, allowing the spectator to walk in the middle of the sculpture and view a listing of many of Jesse Owens' achievements and a selection of inspirational quotes. The 4 points of the pyramid represent his gold medals from the 1936 Olympic Games and the 4 world records he broke as a Big Ten meet in 1935. The frame of a triangle on the north side of the assembly represents a hurdle. On the west side of the sculpture is a lattice representing his climb to success and the struggles he faced in the process. James Cleveland Owens attended East Tech High School in Cleveland and made the world record of 9.4 seconds in the 100-yard dash. He attended college at Ohio State University and ran track, where he won a record of 8 individual NCAA championships, 4 in 1935 and 4 in 1936. At the Olympics, he competed and won 4 gold medals in the following events: the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, 400-meter relay, and the long jump. One of the quotes in the memorial sculpture says, "Nobody ever gains the pinnacle of success unless he has somebody helping him along the way. You don't do it alone." He credited the help of his German opponent, Lutz Long, with giving him advice on how to not foul out of the long jump trials. He and Long went on to be good friends. In 1980, Owens died of lung cancer at age 67, but his legend will live on forever at The Ohio State University. He carried the name of this university and this country to world acclaim.
All right, so she did that with her iPhone. So, and then we also had a device or an application called Splice that we used to basically do the video work as well. And then they do the video editing, and then we basically had them go out and take, like B-roll and take pictures and things like that. And they basically use Splice to kind of put that all together. And then basically the idea was to basically package everything and basically add this to the tour. And, you could have called out like pictures, so you can add a tag and call the picture if you want to call attention to that. Get back to the PowerPoint here. I don't know if it works with the Oculus Rift or not, but yes, you can put, it depends on the device, but you can put basically your device on one of these, and if you hit the little,
And would you be able to walk through it, or do you still have to kind of
So-
incrementally jump through it?
you would have to gaze. So you would have to basically, that little plus, you would put that onto the little marker points, or you would basically access the info buttons with that, and then it would basically launch those.
Difference is these pictures are 3 degrees of freedom, so you stay in one spot and look around.
Yes.
The other side where you're there 6 degrees where you can't move around in space. And a lot of times these pictures aren't 3D.
These weren't 3, yeah, these are just. Right, so that one. So this is where I was talking about how we were kind of really challenging ourselves. We decided to offer the students 2 choices. So based on platforms. This platform is, as you can kind of see, is very construction related. This platform is used to basically go in and document construction sites. They push, everybody's seen the Theta cameras? They're very big with Theta cameras. If you wanted to, you could take that camera and stick it up, move the ceiling tiles, stick it up the ceiling tiles, take a picture, and then share that with constructions or document changes over time. Construction data. They have apps, it's called Job Walk. And so basically you can load like your floor plans into this and basically use this app and integrates with the Theta camera over on the right. And they do support some other cameras, I think, like there's like Samsung 360 or something like that. But it isn't a huge list. And it didn't really seem to support the built-in camera. I thought it was interesting. It was pretty much like as soon as you open it, it's like, where's the camera? So it's looking for the camera. But you can use it to view existing, so you can log in and view existing tours that you've created. So, as Elaine pointed out earlier, they had a really good price point for us. So like the first year, educational was free to us, but they were working out the pricing arrangement, and they were saying, for me, they were thinking like $10 a year per student, is what they were kind of looking at that point. What was kind of cool about, so I'll go ahead and show you Bill David. So this tour was created with HoloBuilder. This was River Wick, one of our students. I'll go ahead and click on it. This is created in HoloBuilder. Basically gives you a 360 a start out screen. Click on that, and you can see you can basically put a sitemap up here. So here we have it. We just took it from Google. Satellite view. Each one of these little dots is where he took a picture. What I thought was really neat the way he did it was he started at the one of his ways of navigation was that from the pictures mount, it could take you to these different locations, to the clubhouse, the bleachers, weight room, and the bullpen. Let's start now. What I really liked about HoloBuilder was its choice of tools. Probably be best if I just log in and show you. So I'm logged in here. I'm in their men's screen, and it basically here's a bunch of the projects that we have. If I open up the edit view, you'll see over on the right-hand side, these are all basically the options. I don't know if anybody's familiar with virtual reality or working with these. There's like certain kind of like platforms or like the base of what they're built on, and this is built on I think A-Frame. And they basically worked with that platform and created this great interface. First, we kind of thought it might be a little bit overwhelming for the students. So we really tried to do some simple things. And I think we were at about 50-50. We had like 50% did iSpy, 50% HoloBuilder. I would say everybody was happy with what they chose at the end, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we introduced both. We spent a lot of time in class, 2 or 3 classes, and showed them tools, showed them what it did. Of course, then we gave them requirements. They had to have so many attachments, they had to have so many waypoints. We told them they were gonna be required to do a video and have to add these things, and then said, okay, choose which one you want. Or we were hoping for class consensus, which of course did not happen. Silly us. So of course, then we had to have 2 separate grading schemes. They had the requirements, but it required us to go through and look at 2 different ways of doing everything. Making sure we had instructions to do everything 2 different ways. But they were pretty happy with what they chose. We found other little issues as we went, but that was kind of our fault.
So tons of tools here. You can add like animations. You can make things move up and down. I thought creating buttons. So if I basically pick something over here, you can just say what kind of actions do I want to associate with that. I can say open this in a web browser. So I'll put it back. Share it. Wow, look, QR codes, right? So I think they're here to stay. So that was really cool. You can also embed this. So if you do advanced, you can basically embed these in other websites. I'll show you an example of that. So let me go. I think I had this open, didn't I? Already? Yeah.
Real quick with the embedding the websites, do you know if it plays nice with the U-dots?
And what?
The U-dot OSU pages?
I don't think it would probably play in that under WordPress. It probably don't allow for iframes, and it probably would not.
I think it does.
Does it allow for iframes?
Yeah, I think I put iframes in U-dot.
You'd have to try it. Sometimes I know in some things you have to do like filters, like full HTML, and then it maybe won't strip it out. Some WYSIWYGs will strip out the iframe codes. All right, so I'll go back to this. Yeah, I lost the video. Okay. That's my fault. I accidentally deleted his video. But that's why we do backups. Technical issues. All right, so there's the demo I want to showcase you. All right, I'm trying to remember, I think it's this one.
From the Bill Davis Stadium located at 650 Borough Drive in Columbus, Ohio, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes baseball team. Bill Davis has the capacity to hold 4,450 fans in the stands, and on May 18th of 2002, the Buckeyes set the record for attendance by having a sellout crowd of 5,360 fans against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Here at Bill Davis, we have a weight room, a visitor's locker room, and a home locker room, and also batting cages with indoor pitcher's mounts. I got a chance to catch up with some of the workers at Bill Davis to get an idea of what they do for the field and games.
Hi, my name's Nate. I work facilities, and some of my responsibilities at Bill Davis
One of these
Stadium
is his
are
roommate, I
taking
think.
care of
Another one somebody works with.
indoor and outdoor events, as well as the game mounts. And we also clean the visitors and home locker room, as well as the press box and the officials room. During the games, we're on call in case anything's needed on the field, and then afterwards, we pick the stands and clean up the field.
Hi, I'm Trent Congrove. I'm part of the crew that helps take care of Bill Davis Stadium. For pregame, we set up L screens at pitcher's mound, first base, second base, third base, and also in center. We also put up the hitter's dome behind the plate to help contain balls during batting practice. Both teams will take batting practice, and after that, we take all the screens off. We let both teams take infield. Then we pull all the bases, put new bases in. We fix fix the mound up, paint the block O on the back, make it look good for the game. And during the game, we're kind of on call, make sure nothing bad happens. And afterwards, we pick up all the facilities, make sure the locker rooms look good.
Along with regular stadium seating, home and visiting fans can stand on the sidelines and cozy up underneath our portable propane heaters and watch the game from the picnic tables. This is a great way to get out of the house and have a nice evening watching the Buckeye baseball team compete against Big Ten competition. Come check out the field and bring your family for a night of fun at Bill Davis Stadium and Nick Swisher Field. Go Bucks!
So we thought he did a real good job with this. And it's just some cool, so you kind of go and navigate it. So you want to see what it looks like in the clubhouse. Spin around. Again, he used his phone on this with the Street View. So really thought it came out really good for what they had to for what they used. Did a really good job of navigating. Looks like the dugout. Go back to the pitcher's mound. They did a really good job of linking back and forth and things like that. So that was that example. And so after with our VR, we decided to put a little bit of AR into it too. So we added an element with AR, and we use this product, a company called Zapper. Has anybody ever heard of Zapper? Yeah, okay. I think they're based out of the UK as well. They play some neat things. That if you notice on the right, so they're what they call like mixed reality. So they have like this controller. So with the Oculus, we have the controllers, actually high tech. They have a kit where you can basically fold these out. It's a pre-made kit that you're supposed to be able to order here, hopefully have available soon. Where basically you put your device using their app into and they have like a cardboard version of a headset. Put that in there, and then they also have like these little circle markers that you put on the walls, different spots, and on the floor. And it basically uses that to orient basically where it's going to basically project, for instance, like that turtle. But one of the examples was they had they created like a mini putt-putt golf simulator based on that, and you would use the controller as your club. So that was kind of cool. They had on the left, you'll see is it's like their desktop application for creating and interacting with their system. We didn't use that. We used basically this is like their second level. They have like a widget where it automatically just creates something super simple. And this is their second level where basically it's a super simple screen, almost kind of like Flash would be. If you were creating something that used to be Flash. Object oriented. At the top left, you'll see their scenes. So this is an example I did where on the first one, as soon as you open it, and what I mean by open it is on the device, you install their Zapper code, or Zapper app, I should say. It's a little red, have like a little lightning box right there. What we found is that if you open this up and it just crashes really quick, you don't have network. It's an easy way to tell if you don't have network. It'll just go black and crash real quick. This is an example of a company that was working on like educational content. And we have some others if you guys want to try some later. So basically, it sees there's a little marker, they have it hidden right there. It'll see that and say, oh, this must be some type of Zapper content. And we've done this a lot of times, and I'm amazed at how quick it pulls the codes. I mean, there's others it takes a while to find. So basically, if I look at it, you try it. I'm looking at basically there's a rocket now. This turned to color, and there's a rocket coming out, and it's getting ready to launch and go like up to the moon or something. I can kind of show that. Actually, we don't have a lot of time, so we can try this afterwards. Yeah. The other one I have, example, is basically this is a white paper that was just released. This Zapper partnered with someone, and it's called Layered. And this is a page. I've got a notebook. If it's back there, somebody wants to look through it. And we have some extra pages to scan this. What they did is they basically did a scan of the brain with AR and without AR, looking at content. And on the bottom one, can anybody guess which one that was? That was using the AR. And so the red spots are basically is how active the brain is. So they found that the brain activity, you can just obviously kind of speaks for itself, how much activity is in the brain in AR versus non-AR. So, and when you scan this, it pulls out in 3D, and you can spin around, and there's like little labels, and it tells you like what part of the brain is associated for which functions. So we'll try to leave some time to do that. So that, and if you noticed, we had the one project that had the Zapper codes. So what we did is we had the students basically do Pixlr, create the Zapper codes. We had them do like 5x7 cards like this. So they did Pixlr, and then they did their Zapper code. A lot of them did something with their tour. And basically, you could scan this, and then it would take them to their tour. It would take the user to the tour, or they could basically, we had one student that basically added his research data to this, so you could kind of navigate through his research. And you could get to like the table, his research data, and things like that. We kind of finished the class saying, okay, so we've shown you the simple way of doing it. We also kind of showed some more advanced technologies. This PanoTour is a desktop application, and we use it PanoTour Pro. And it's, like I said, it's a very expensive desktop application for kind of professional level, and it would definitely take some time to learn it. It's a good learning curve. This is actually software we used, Tim used last summer. We did plant trials tour. And it's something that's done every year. As everybody, when you're on, say, Ag Campus, you'll see all the plantings. They just started planting them like yesterday. So you'll see all the color this summer. Those are the trial tours. And you also have a couple handouts that talk about the trial tours, if you want to take a look at those. And I just want to end with saying, the future is really bright for this. Both Apple and Google recently released SDK kits for AR, and Google's got one for AR Core. Our iPads, I want to mention, are actually too old to support the AR Core, or our AR Kit things that they have out there right now. But I thought it was kind of cool that, using the Zapper app, we were actually still able to do AR, even though our devices don't support it. We have to have some of the newer devices to support it. So I want to kind of mention that. That's it. With that, I just kind of try to get a quick overview. Is there any questions? Thank you. I want to make sure I allow time for you guys to play with these to try to. You really have to check out this app.
Yeah, I was going to.
So we created like a classroom, and this is actually a launching point. And if you scan the Zapper codes here, it actually launches them, so they do actually work. So just a way to kind of spend. So these are some of the different projects that they did with that. I wanted to kind of throw that in there too. The other one was if you go to our website, if you go to hvp.osu.edu. Horticultural perspective. You can actually get to our. Yeah, we learned some really cool stuff about. One of the students did the oval, and then he did what's the geological building? It's Orton.
Yeah, with the WC.
And he did it. It was all with his phone. Basically, he had the what is it? The rocks that glow in the dark. So you flip the lights. And then it goes black, and then the rocks like illuminate.
Yeah.
And it was like it totally never.
Very interesting thing.
It was really cool. So this is the trial tours that we did with PanoTours, and basically, we created a script so that the labels there are the companies that are sponsoring that plot for that particular, and that's the variety, the plant, and the cultivar. And right here is the company associated with that. If you kind of click through here, it'll take you down through. There's a little control bar down here that gives you like a little floor plan map that shows you, so you can jump right to another spot to look at the plants. Spin around. These were taken with an SLR camera and stitched together using a software called PT GUI. So these are very high resolution pictures. There's a little bit, this software actually does what's called tiling, so that you're not loading the whole picture at one time on the screen. If I want to basically zoom in further, I can kind of shift that. This zoom out there so it doesn't pixelate quite so much. But you can kind of tell these are super high quality pictures with the stitching. I think this was about maybe 3 or 4 levels deep. You can go a lot further and if you wanted to, but the file sizes would have been huge. And we've done some where, like at the point right here, I could zoom in and then read the label. This is the quality of that. So if you go to hcp.ocu.edu, I would encourage you to stop and try the trial tours. We did showcase this with headset, so we were able to have people view this via the headset as well. That's all. I thought I would throw those other. I was trying to get I had a lot of information and trying to give it
a lot of great
a lot of time. So,
thank you.